Welcome back to Web 110, HTML and CSS. So in the last video, we created a file where I introduced working with color and actually practicing writing everything out. And you can see I still got my notes and the example and the browser up and everything. In this video, I want to talk about how to validate your CSS, and I didn't want to make everything really complicated with the last video and make it really big, and then also make it hard for you to come back and look at it if you need to. Now, I don't have a test CSS validation file like I did with HTML, but I'm going to just use this file from this last one. So if you've gone ahead and closed out of that file and you want to test this out, just go ahead and open it back up again. Or you can create your own CSS file real quick, or just watch this video. But from here on out, you're going to want to make sure that you validate your CSS for all of your homework and your projects. So let me actually minimize all of this. Well, actually, I could probably keep this one open. And we've got our style CSS file. And let me actually go to Canvas. All right, so there are a couple of locations that you can look at for information on CSS validation. If you go to the resources for week 3, I've got this W3 CSS validator, so that's going to be one option for opening that. Then I also have under resources, if you go to the CSS3 section, you'll find the CSS validator there as well. And then also if you go to Google, you can type in CSS validator or validation, either one. And this first one that you see, jigsaw.w3.org, that's going to be what we're looking for. So I don't really have to worry about this other tab that I have open. So similar thing to HTML, you've got 3 different ways that you can work with this. All right, so I'm going to just type in the school's address. So https://www.jccc.edu. Click on check. And then we've had a couple of errors, and it's telling me there's some parse error, and we'd have to look at the code to really know what this is talking about, but it is saying that there's a parse error. We've got a value error. Overflow none is not an overflow value, so something else should be there. Max height auto is not a max height value. And so that's what these errors would look like. And then it'll also tell you, like here, there's some warnings. And sometimes this stuff is unavoidable when you've got a really big website. And then it should also tell you all the things that are valid. So it's going through, it's listing, here's all the things that are actually working out correctly. You'll notice there's a ton of content here. So if you get just a few errors when you've got a website this big, I would say you're actually doing pretty good. So we've got a ton of content. So you can type in an address. You can type in some text here. So let's just try typing something in. And it's working fine. So unlike HTML where you have to have all that structure stuff, really you can just jump straight into your rules and you don't have to have anything else. And then again, it'll tell us, what's actually accurate here. And then last one, which you're going to use, is file upload. So we're going to go and look for a file. I've got this under week 3, color, and then we'll do our style sheet. So when you are doing an address, you'll just pick one of your HTML files, and then as long as it has CSS on it or is linking to an external style sheet, it'll be able to bring up all the styles that are associated with that file. You're not going to put in your actual style sheet style. So for example, let me actually go back real quick. So if this was your homework, you would do like this, students.jccc.edu / your username / assignment 4 / index.html. And then so long as that was associated with a style sheet, it would give you some errors. Now, I don't actually have this file, so it's just making up a bunch of stuff for some reason. I don't know what it's really bringing up when it's trying to fall back on something that doesn't exist. But that's how you would write it. You would actually bring up the HTML. You wouldn't bring up the styles.css. Okay. So for file upload though, you're going to upload your style sheet. And then this is what it should look like. So I don't have any errors in the style sheet, and I haven't worked out any to really add to it. Usually the biggest thing that happens for errors could be not having your pair of curly brackets. And you can kind of see here that you can kind of tell that there's an error just because that's missing. It could be that you are missing a semicolon. Whoops, I'm supposed to delete that. Maybe it's actually having a semicolon instead of a colon, or vice versa. Maybe it's having a colon here instead of a semicolon and getting them mixed up because it's the same key, just having shift. It could be missing your number sign before you do your hexadecimal number. It could be, let's say here we have a space or something in front of it. When you have parentheses, whatever's in parentheses has to be right up against the other thing. Maybe you have the wrong value or you don't have a unit. So those would all be things. So let me save that and we'll re-upload it. So now we have some examples of what this would look like. So we've got like 6, so we could go to 6, and then we've got value error, background color, RGB is not a background color value. So that one, it's not really telling you, you would just have to know. And this is where in your rubric, I will tell you these sort of things. Parse error, we've got 255, 255, 255, and it's just telling you the same thing. It's focusing on how there's an issue here. Parse error, background color on line 7 now, and it's showing it actually gives you a lot less information than the HTML. Again, you have to just kind of know what sort of things would be anticipated here. But your book has a ton of examples. Like if you're not really sure how to write the property or how to write the values, go back to the reading and look at the different examples in the book, and you'll be able to find something really similar. Or you could go to W3 Schools and it'll show you different examples. All right, here on 17, we've got value error, color missing a semicolon before the property name. So this one's a little confusing because it's saying there is a missing semicolon, and like, what do you mean there's a missing semicolon? We've got the colon and we've got the missing semicolon. What it means is before this line, there's a missing semicolon. So you just have to look before it, even on other lines. And then we have color unknown for 00F. And again, you have to know, well, hexadecimal numbers need to have number signs. And then we've got on line 18, color, parse error, color. When you see parse errors, usually that means some sort of thing is wrong with the syntax. So try to look at like, where does the color stop really working correctly? Okay, and then we've got parse error RGB 00255. That would have been the same one. Parse error color HSL 240, and again, it's not really telling you, but when you see parse error, just look to see what isn't fitting uniform. And then we should save that. We'll see if it catches the last one. Yeah, here we go. Parse error. This is line 20. And then it's just listing everything that's in between. So it's highlighting this curly bracket, and that's where it's nice to have everything line up, because we can kind of see, okay, well, this H1 is in the right color. We've got a start and an end at the paragraph. We've got a start and an end at the H2, or sorry, H1, but we don't have an end for the body. So we can kind of easily see all of that. And now everything's color coding right. So I should be able to save that, re-upload, and it works fine. If you have any issues when you're working with your file and trying to figure out what your validation errors might mean, feel free to leave a comment on the discussion or send me an email or a message on Canvas.